ain't about chasing the bag. It's about realizing the bag already got your name on it. The provision, the opportunity, the breakthrough, it's already written into your story before you even started grinding. You ain't fighting to get blessed. You walking into what's already been authored. See, the world tell you you gotta hustle harder, sleep less, move faster. They glorify the chase, but not the peace. Everybody talking about securing the bag, but nobody talking about how the bag already been secured by the one who wrote your destiny. God ain't winging it with your life. He scripted every need, every resource, every door before you even showed up. Psalm 37:25 says, I have never seen the righteous forsaken, nor their seed begging bread. That means your provision ain't negotiable. It's guaranteed. But here's the catch. You got to stop acting like the provider forgot you. Anxiety will have you thinking you got to chase what's already waiting. And fear will make you think you losing something that was never yours to earn in the first place. Fam, this hour is about trust over toil, about resting in the fact that God's got receipts for your future. You don't got to scramble for what's secure. You don't got to beg for what's been promised. You just got to align your steps with His plan. So, beloved, breathe. The bag ain't out there somewhere. It's in motion towards you. Heaven already wrote your resources into the schedule. The question ain't, will it come? The question is, will you trust? 'Cause hear me, the bag was never the prize. The provider was. And once you understand that, lack loses its power. Fam, let's lock this truth down with the word. Matthew 6:33 says, seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And Philippians 4:19 says, my God will supply all your needs according to His riches and glory in Christ Jesus. 2 verses, one message. Provision follows priority. See, in Matthew 6, Jesus was speaking to people stressed about survival, what they gonna eat, what they gonna wear, how they gonna live. He said, don't worry about all that. The birds don't hustle, yet they fed. The lilies don't labor, yet they clothed in beauty. Then he drops the key, seek first the kingdom. In other words, stop chasing supply, chase the source. When your focus shifts from getting to giving, from worrying to worshiping, heaven's resources align automatically. And then Paul seals it in Philippians, my God will supply all your need, not some, not maybe, all. That means whatever the need, emotional, financial, physical, spiritual, He already wrote it in. And the supply ain't coming from your paycheck, your connections, or your hustle. It's coming according to His riches in glory. In translation, the kingdom account never run dry. Fam, this is why faith and finances ain't separate. They're intertwined. You can't just tithe on Sunday and panic on Monday. You can't quote Jehovah Jireh while living like He forgetful. If the word said He'll supply, then trust the script. Provision is part of the covenant, not a seasonal favor. So, beloved, here's the foundation. When you seek Him first, the rest follows. The rent, the opportunity, the open door, the favor. It all comes looking for you. Because the bag ain't earned by grind, it's unlocked by order. God's order. Fam, let's keep it a buck. Our generation baptized the grind. Hustle culture got folks wearing exhaustion like a badge of honor. No sleep, no days off, all gas, no breaks. We chase money like it's manna, like God took a vacation and left provision up to us. But hear me, if your grind becomes your God, your soul gonna run on fumes. See, the world tell you that if you ain't constantly moving, you falling behind. That if you stop to rest, you losing. But wisdom says rest ain't laziness, it's loyalty to the rhythm God built into creation. Even he rested on the seventh day. So why you think grinding nonstop makes you more blessed than the one who made you? Some of y'all wake up scrolling stock charts, watching crypto, checking metrics before you even say thank you. You pray with one eye open, calculating profit margins. You tithe, but you still terrified. And that's how hustle culture traps you, by replacing trust with tension. It makes you feel like if you ain't hustling, God ain't working. But Exodus 16 shows something different. When God dropped manna in the wilderness, he told them, collect what you need for the day, no more. And when they tried to hoard, it spoiled. That's a whole sermon right there. When you try to out-hustle heaven, you end up with rot. But when you trust his timing, you always have enough. Fam, this ain't about being lazy. It's about knowing limits. Hustle with purpose, not panic. Grind with grace, not greed. Work, but don't worship work. 'Cause provision don't come from pressure. It flows from peace. So, beloved, here's the truth. Your value ain't in your velocity. Now, slow down and let God be God. The bag already got your name on it. You just need to stop sprinting past it. Fam, let's talk real. Bills stacking, rent due, groceries high, gas wilding out. You look at your account and start counting backwards like, Lord, how we gonna make this stretch? And before you know it, your mind turn into a calculator that never stops. You call it being responsible, but really, it's fear dressed up like wisdom. See, anxiety loves to wear a suit of logic. It'll tell you, I'm just planning ahead. But deep down, it ain't strategy. It's survival mode. You up at 2 a.m. replaying worst case scenarios that ain't even happened. And the more you worry, the less you worship. 'Cause worry and faith can't hold the mic at the same time. Jesus addressed this straight in Matthew 6. He said, well, why do you worry about what you'll eat or wear? Look at the birds. They don't sow or reap, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. He wasn't saying don't work. He was saying don't worry while you work. Worry don't add $1 to your account. It just overdrafts your peace. Fam, some of y'all living like God ain't never came through before. You got evidence of his faithfulness, but you still panic like this, the first miracle he ever performed. Every bill paid, every meal provided, every door open, you got receipts. So why you stressing like he suddenly forgot your address? Here's the truth. Faith ain't ignorance, it's alignment. It don't deny reality, it just trusts a higher one. You plan, but you don't panic. You budget, but you don't bow to fear. 'Cause the same God who handled last month's struggle gonna handle this one too. So beloved, take a breath. Let go of the what ifs. Replace worry with worship. 'Cause if he feeds sparrows daily, trust me, your rent, your needs, your next chapter already on his spreadsheet. Fam, let's be honest. Scrolling can steal your soul if you don't guard your heart. You hop on your feed and everybody look like they winning. New cars, new homes, vacations, designer fits, testimonies that sound like highlight reels. And suddenly, what God gave you don't feel like enough. You ain't broke, but you start feeling behind. You ain't forgotten, but you start feeling invisible. That's what comparison does. It turns blessings into burdens. See, the danger of social media is this. It shows you the harvest, but hides the hustle. You see the bag, but not the burden. You see the shine, but not the struggle. And then you start questioning your own story like, God, why not me? Why are they blowing up while I'm still waiting? But what if your delay is divine? What if your lane got a different timeline? Paul said in Philippians 4:11, I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances. Catch that, learned. Contentment don't come natural. It's a discipline. It's choosing to celebrate what you got instead of complaining about what you don't. It's remembering that the same God who blessed them is the same God who's building you. Fam, the enemy loves to weaponize envy. Because if he can make you jealous, he can make you joyless. And if you lose your joy, you lose your strength. That's why gratitude is a shield. It protects your peace from the poison of comparison. So, beloved, here's the wisdom. Stop scrolling your way into scarcity. Start thanking your way into abundance. Post less, pray more, celebrate what's in your hand. Because what's yours can't be stolen, and what's written for you can't be delayed by anybody else's timeline. Fam, remember, the bag ain't a race, it's a revelation. And when you stop comparing, you start recognizing you already holding proof of God's provision. Fam, here's one of the biggest lies the culture ever sold us, that your worth equals your wealth, that if you ain't stacking, you slacking. That success is something you can measure in commas, likes, or square footage. But let me tell you straight, money might add comfort, but it can't add value. You were valuable before you ever earned a dollar. See, we live in a world that loves to price people. They size you up by what you drive, what you wear, what you post, where you live. They confuse luxury with legacy. But the truth is, God don't measure like man. 1 Samuel 16-7 says, "The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart." Translation, heaven don't care about your net worth, it checks your heart worth. But the danger is real. Once you start linking identity to income, every dip feels like failure. A job loss feels like a life loss. A dry season feels like a death sentence. And you start hustling not to build, but to prove. You start buying to feel seen. You start grinding to fill a gap that money was never meant to fill. Fam, listen, wealth without wisdom is a trap. Prosperity without peace is poverty in disguise. And if you ever think you gotta earn your dignity, you already bankrupt in spirit. You don't work for worth, you work from worth. That's why God can call you blessed before the bag ever show up. Beloved, your paycheck don't define you, your purpose does. Your brand don't crown you, your birthright does. And your value ain't negotiable, it's divine. So stop letting culture sell you a counterfeit identity. You're already rich in what matters. Fam, the bag is a resource, not a resume. Don't confuse your possessions with your position in Christ. Fam, let's call it what it is. Grind culture been lying to us. It told us that if you ain't constantly working, you ain't valuable. It made exhaustion feel holy and burnout feel like a badge. But the truth? Hustle without rest ain't faith. It's fear in disguise. It's the subtle belief that if you stop moving, everything gonna fall apart. And that's the trap. The moment you start thinking the bag depends on you, you start playing God without even knowing it. You start saying with your grind what your mouth would never dare to say in prayer. Lord, I don't trust you to handle it, so I got it. But hear me, anytime your hustle replaces your hope, you've built an idol out of your ambition. Psalm 127:2 says, "It is vain for you to rise up early, to sit up late, eating the bread of anxious toil, for he gives his beloved sleep." That means God never called you to grind yourself into the ground. Rest ain't rebellion, it's recognition, as it says, God, I trust you enough to stop. But grind culture don't like that. It'll whisper, you slacking, you falling behind, you losing your edge. And before you know it, your spirit tired, your relationship strained, your peace bankrupt, all in the name of the grind. Yet the bags still feel empty. Fam, the hustle should serve the kingdom, not replace it. You work with excellence, but you rest with confidence. You sow seeds, but you let God handle the harvest. Because if the blessing only works when you're awake, it ain't a blessing, it's bondage. So, beloved, here's the truth. Faith don't hustle, it trusts. You can grind with grace, but don't grind from fear. Because the moment you stop trusting the provider, you start worshiping the process. And the process was never meant to replace the promise. Fam, let's talk about that scarcity mindset. That deep down fear that there'll never be enough. Enough money, enough time, enough opportunity, enough favor. It's that quiet panic that lives behind your smile. the one that makes you clutch tight to what you have, scared it might slip away. But hear me, scarcity ain't an economic issue, it's a spiritual one. See, scarcity don't start in the wallet, it starts in the mind. It's born when you forget who your source is, when you think you're the supplier instead of the steward, when you start acting like heaven's broke and God's budget got limits. But the kingdom don't run on shortages. Heaven ain't rationing miracles. In Exodus 16, God gave manna daily. He didn't let them store it up because he was teaching trust, not stockpiling. And some of us still trying to hoard blessings out of fear that the next one won't come. That's what scarcity does. It keeps you grabbing instead of giving. And it's wild because you can be wealthy in numbers but still poor in spirit if you don't trust the flow. Scarcity whispers, you got to fight for your portion. But abundance says, your portion already written. Scarcity says, if they win, you lose. But abundance says, there's room for everybody at the table. Scarcity makes you jealous of others' blessings. Abundance makes you grateful for your own. Fam, the danger is this. Scarcity don't just drain your joy, it distorts your decisions. You start hustling out of fear instead of faith. You take deals that ain't divine. You settle for less because you don't believe more exists. But your God ain't a minimalist, he's a multiplier. So, beloved, here's the truth. Scarcity is a mindset that dies when gratitude lives. You can't hold fear and faith in the same hand. So release the grip, breathe, and remember, the bag ain't running out. Heaven's account's still overflowing. Fam, let's talk about that quiet fear of losing what you already got. You ever been blessed but too scared to enjoy it? Like soon as the money hit, you start waiting for something bad to happen. Like every good thing gotta come with a catch. That's what fear of loss does. It makes you treat blessings like they on borrowed time. See, fear of loss don't let you rest. It makes you double check what God already confirmed. You start rehearsing what ifs in your head like a playlist on repeat. What if the job don't last? What if the client leaves? What if the money run out? But that mindset keeps you trapped in survival mode even when you're supposed to be walking in overflow. Job 121 says, the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That's not a sad verse. It's a statement of surrender. Job knew his source wasn't the stuff. It was the supplier. When you understand that, you stop panicking over the temporary and start trusting the eternal. Fear of loss will have you guarding your blessings tighter than you guard your peace. But here's the truth. What God gives, he can give again. If he did it once, he can do it twice. The bag ain't fragile, it's faithful. And as long as you stay aligned with the source, you'll never run dry. Fam, listen, provision ain't a one-time miracle. It's a lifestyle of trust. You don't gotta clutch the bag like it's your last one. You just steward it, bless others with it, and keep your hands open for what's next. Fear closes fists, but faith opens hands. And only open hands can receive new blessings. So, beloved, stop worrying about losing it. Start thanking God for loaning it, because everything you hold came from his hand, and he ain't about to stop providing now. Fam, here's where the whole thing flips. Provision ain't something you chase, it's something you trust. The bag ain't the reward for your hustle, it's the evidence of God's promise. Before you ever clocked in, before you ever launched that business, before you ever sent that resume, God already signed off on your supply. The blueprint been printed, the script been sealed. Psalm 139:16 says, all my days were written in your book before one of them came to be. That means the paychecks, the doors, the seasons, the connections, all of it already drafted in heaven. You not working for favor, you're working from it. That's why you can rest without guilt and build without fear. See, the world says, secure the bag, secure, but faith says, the bag's secure already. You don't chase what's guaranteed. You walk it out. When you finally believe that, panic turns into peace. You stop praying desperate prayers and start speaking confident ones. You stop begging God to bless you and start thanking him because he already did. Fam, this is the turning point. Grind don't guarantee provision. Grace does. Your obedience opens doors that effort never could. And when you realize that, you stop acting like provision's a paycheck and start treating it like a promise. So, beloved, breathe deep. God's not playing catch up with your needs. He's been ahead the whole time. The bag ain't delayed. It's divine. And the moment you align trust with timing, what's written starts showing up in real time. Fam, the bag was never about grinding harder. It was about believing sooner. Fam, let's rewind to the wilderness, because Israel's story got the blueprint for provision written all over it. Exodus 16. They fresh out of Egypt, free but frustrated, hungry, tired, complaining, talking about, at least we had bread in Egypt. God said, bet, watch me feed you from heaven. And just like that, manna started falling. But peep the lesson, it didn't drop weekly, it dropped daily, every morning, fresh, custom portion, enough for the day, not the decade. God was teaching rhythm, not rush. He wanted them to wake up dependent on him, not dependent on storage, because provision wasn't just about food, it was about faith. And when they tried to hoard, the manna spoiled overnight and moldy, stinking, useless. Why? Because when you try to outplan the provider, you end up with rot. That was his reminder. I'll give you what you need when you need it. Not early, not late, just right. Fam, that's how divine provision works. It don't always show up how you want, but it always shows up when it's supposed to. God's not waiting for the economy to line up. He ain't checking interest rates or inflation charts. His supply chain is heaven, and his delivery system never breaks down. That's why Jesus taught us to pray, give us this day our daily bread, and not weekly, not yearly, daily, because the goal ain't storage, it's surrender. God's trying to keep you dependent, not desperate. He don't want to starve you. He want to steady you. So, beloved, don't despise the just enough seasons. They build trust muscles. They teach you timing. They remind you if manna fell for them, mercy gon' fall for you. Same God, same schedule, same faithfulness. Fam, the bag ain't late. It's right on time. Daily bread divinely delivered. Fam, let's flip to Elijah, because his story is proof that God's supply don't always look logical. 1 Kings 17. The land was dry, no rain, no crops, no plan B. And right in the middle of a famine, God said, hide by the brook. I already commanded the ravens to feed you there. Yo, now pause. Ravens, dirty birds, unclean, selfish scavengers. Yep, that's who God used. See, when heaven writes your bag in, the source don't have to make sense. He'll use who he want to use. He'll bless through channels that don't even like you. He'll make provision show up from hands that meant you harm. Because when he said, I will supply, he didn't say how. Elijah obeyed, sat by that brook, and sure enough, every morning, every evening, them ravens brought bread and meat on schedule. Not a day early, not a crumb late. And when the brook dried up, God didn't panic. He already lined up a widow in Zarephath to carry the next assignment. That's what I call divine logistics. Fam, this story ain't about birds. It's about obedience. The supply was tied to the spot. God told Elijah where to sit, not just what to expect. Some of us miss provision because we sitting in comfort instead of obedience. But the bag don't move to meet your disobedience. You move to meet the bag. So, beloved, don't box God in. Don't tell him who he can or can't use. Don't stress when the usual streams run dry. He's got another source on standby. If he can use ravens, he can use resources you ain't even considered. Fam, this is your reminder. Favor don't follow logic. The same God who fed Elijah with scavenger birds can feed you through systems, strangers, or situations you never saw coming. The supply might not look holy, but it's heavenly. So rest easy. God's roots may change, but his record stays perfect. Fam, lean in. This one right here is the blueprint for not enough turning into more than enough. 5 loaves, 2 fish, a crowd so big the disciples started doing panic math. And Jesus, calm, composed, king energy. He said, "Bring them here to me." That's step 1 of every miracle of provision. Stop counting what you got in your hand and place it in his. Watch the order. He tells them to sit the people down, groups, rows, calm hearts. Why? Because heaven multiplies best where there's order, not frenzy. Some of us want the overflow, but our life got no buckets, no systems, no seats. Jesus sets the table first, then serves the miracle. Then he looked up and gave thanks. Catch that. Gratitude before growth. Praise before plenty. He didn't wait for increase to say thank you. He thanked, and increase responded. That's kingdom math. Thanksgiving is the trigger that makes small things stretch. He breaks it, hands it to the disciples, and they distribute. See the flow? It moves through them, not just to them. That's why some bags dry up. We try to be reservoirs when God called us to be rivers. Provision is a pass-through. Generosity keeps the stream alive. Everybody eats. Not snacks, satisfied. And when it's over, he says, gather the leftovers. 12 baskets. 1 for each disciple that doubted. 1 sermon per basket, nothing wasted. In the kingdom, overflow isn't flex, it's stewardship. What you don't waste becomes seed for the next assignment. So, beloved, bring him your 2 fish confidence and your 5 loaves plan. Look up, give thanks, create order where you are, then pass the basket with faith. The bag ain't coming from your calculus. It's coming from his compassion. And the same hands that multiplied bread will multiply your business, your budget, your bandwidth when you stop hoarding and start handing out. Hear me, the miracle didn't start when they ate. It started when they surrendered. Provision ain't earned, it's released. And when Jesus says, bring it here, your little becomes lifestyle. Your lack becomes lesson. Your table becomes testimony. The bag, already written in, and now, finally, served. Fam, let's talk truth for a minute. Layo, when I say the bag, I ain't talking about cash only. It's bigger than that. Okay? The bag is peace that don't fold under pressure. It's joy that don't check the market. It's breath in your lungs when you thought anxiety was going to choke you out. It's family reconciled, health restored, creativity unlocked. God's bag got compartments we ain't even opened yet. See, culture made the bag about status, cars, credit scores, vacations, designer threads. But the kingdom bag, it's about stability. Provision that don't expire when the paycheck late. God ain't limited to currency. He trade in grace. That's why you can have more than them without owning what they own. You rich in peace while they bankrupt in spirit. You resting while they racing. John 10:10 says, I came that they may have life and have it more abundantly. That life ain't luxury, it's wholeness. That's mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, all aligned. God's provision touches every layer of you. He don't just fill your fridge, he fills your faith. He don't just pay your bills, he upgrades your belief. That's the real overflow. Inside first, outside second. Fam, listen. If you got peace while the world panics, that's provision. If you got clarity while chaos raging, that's provision. If you got friends who check on your soul and not just your status, that's heaven's currency. The bag ain't always visible. It's often internal. And here's what the Spirit been whispering. Stop asking me for what I already gave. Start thanking me for what's already active. You breathing, provision. You still got purpose, provision. You woke up with strength to fight another day. Fam, that's proof the bag been written in your bloodstream. So, beloved, shift your definition. You ain't just chasing dollars, you cultivating divine deposits. Don't downgrade God's generosity to paper. He's handing you peace, favor, vision, opportunity, and grace, all wrapped in one sacred bag. And it's already got your initials on it. Fam, the bag ain't what you buy, it's what you become. Abundance ain't measured by accumulation, it's measured by alignment. And when your soul's in sync with his supply, everything else, it flows like clockwork. Fam, let's take a walk up the mountain. Genesis 22. Abraham's carrying wood, fire, and a promise. God told him, take your son, your only son, Isaac, the one you love. That's the moment your heart stops, right? The moment God asks for the very thing he gave you. But Abraham ain't argue, he moved. Faith in motion, even when the math don't make sense. 3 days up that mountain, silence heavy. Isaac break it, say, Daddy, we got the fire and the wood, but where the lamb? Abraham just says, God himself will provide. That line right there, that's generational trust. That's the bag is already written in before the blessing even shows up. He didn't wait to see the ram to believe the supply. He believed before the evidence. And when they reached the top, altar built, knife raised, heaven interrupts. Abraham, don't lay a hand on the boy. He looks up and boom, a ram caught in the thicket. That's divine timing. The ram ain't climb up the hill after Abraham. It was already there. Provision met obedience halfway. He named that place Jehovah Jireh. The Lord will provide. See, the mountain was never about sacrifice. It was about sight. God was teaching Abraham, you don't walk for the bag. You walk by faith. The bag walks toward you. The miracle didn't start at the top. It started when Abraham said yes at the bottom. Provision is always location specific. You got to go where faith sends you to see what heaven's already placed. Fam, some of y'all climbing emotional mountains right now, doubt, debt, depression, and you think God gonna meet you empty-handed. But listen, the ram is already tangled in your next opportunity. The answer's stuck in the same bush you call a problem. Jehovah Jireh don't show up empty. He shows up equipped. So, beloved, keep climbing. Every step of obedience reveals another piece of provision. The bag ain't at the bottom. It's waiting at the top, caught in the thicket, writing your testimony in advance. Remember this. Faith walks uphill, but favor waits ahead. The mountain wasn't a test of loss. It was a preview of supply. Fam, now it's time to live this thing out loud. You done heard the word, now speak it like you believe it. 'Cause faith ain't silent, it's sound. And sound breaks scarcity. So from this day forward, every morning before your feet hit the floor, I want you to declare it. The bag is already written in. Say it when the bills look wild. Say it when the inbox dry. Say it when doubt whisper you late. Say it till your spirit sound like heaven's echo. See, declarations ain't just positive talk. They divine reminders. You speak to your atmosphere till it line up. Proverbs 18:21 says, death and life are in the power of the tongue. So speak life over your finances. Speak peace over your plans. Speak increase over your household. Your voice is currency. Use it to pay your faith forward. And watch how everything start responding. Doors open smoother, opportunities align quicker. Peace sit heavier on your chest. 'Cause what you repeat, you reinforce. And when your spirit keeps shouting, the bag is written in, your mind stop rehearsing panic. Anxiety don't stand a chance against consistent gratitude. Fam, every declaration you make is like cashing a faith check. Heaven already signed it. You just deposit it through your belief. Say it at red lights, in grocery lines, between shifts, over your kids, over your grind. God, I thank you. The bag is already written in. That ain't denial. That's discernment. That's telling your fear, we under new management. Beloved, start every day like provisions already on the calendar. Because it is, the rent, the favor, the healing, the peace, it's scheduled. All you got to do is show up with faith. Speak it, stand on it, sow into it, and watch heaven keep the receipts. Fam, the bag don't show up to the unexpected. So raise your expectation, raise your declaration, raise your standard. Say it till your faith sound wealthy. The bag is already written in. Period. Fam, let's talk about flow. Because some of us been praying for more, but blocking what's already here. We hoarding blessings like they gonna vanish overnight. But the kingdom don't reward clutching. It rewards circulation. God can't multiply what you refuse to move. So this next challenge, stop hoarding and start stewarding. See, stewardship ain't just about money. It's about mindset. It's telling God, I trust you enough to manage what you gave me, not to worship it. Luke 16:10 says, whoever is faithful with little will also be faithful with much. That's code for, if you can't budget the bag, you can't build it. Some of us keep asking for overflow, but we leak at the basics. We don't track, we don't plan, we just panic, but panic don't produce peace. It burns it. Fam, real provision ain't about stacking, it's about sustaining. When you steward what you got with gratitude, you invite heaven to expand it. Remember the loaves and fish? Jesus didn't multiply chaos. He multiplied order. That means your spreadsheet, your savings, your giving, your generosity, they all spiritual tools. That's kingdom economics. But let's keep it 100. Some of y'all still living like manna gone spoil. You scared to save because you think it'll disappear. You scared to give because you think you'll go broke. But when your mindset is scarcity, you shrink the miracle. When you steward with peace, you stretch it. So, beloved, here's your challenge this week. Audit your flow. Where's your faith leaking? Where's your fear spending? Fix that. Align that. Steward what's in your hand so heaven can trust you with what's in its vault. You ain't trying to hoard, because hoarding is fear in disguise. You're trying to manage with wisdom. Stewardship says, I'm not clutching what I can't keep. I'm circulating what God can multiply. Fam, the goal ain't to hold more. It's to handle better. You not called to be a container. You called to be a channel. Because the more you flow, the more he fills. And the more you trust, the less you panic. That's how you turn the bag from a burden into a blessing. Fam, this next one gonna stretch you. Because we love talking about getting blessed. But real abundance ain't proven by what you keep. It's proven by what you release. The flow of heaven don't stop when you give. It accelerates. The more you pour, the faster it refills. But fear make you close your hand, and a closed hand can't catch overflow. 2 Corinthians 9:6 says, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Translation, you control the rhythm of your own harvest. Some of us pray for more seed while hiding the ones we already hold. We forget that God don't just bless the giver, he blesses the giving. That moment when you release what mattered to you becomes the moment heaven marks your account. Fam, hear me, sowing ain't loss, it's leverage. You ain't losing something valuable, you planting something eternal. Every act of generosity, time, money, love, encouragement, it all comes back multiplied. God don't owe debt. He returns dividends. You can't outgive the one who wrote the economy of grace. And I get it. You've been burned before. You gave and folks played you. You helped and nobody helped back. but your obedience ain't to them. It's to God. Let him handle the return. You just keep planting in good soil. 'Cause faith-filled seed don't die. It just hides till harvest. So, beloved, here's your move. Make generosity a lifestyle, not a moment. Tip with joy. Give without announcement. Support somebody's dream. Buy groceries for the neighbor that's struggling. Share wisdom, not just wealth. Every seed counts and every seed speaks. 'Cause heaven listens when your hand lets go. Fam, this ain't about flexing. It's about flow. You can't pray for rivers while living like a dam. Open up. Sow forward. Let what leaves your hand prove what's in your heart. 'Cause the bag was never meant to stop with you. It was meant to move through you. And the more you pour, the more you prosper. Fam, let's close this out with a charge straight from the throne room. Stop chasing what God already secured. You out here running laps for a bag that's been waiting on you since before you had a name, before your mama prayed that first prayer, before your resume had ink on it. Heaven already wrote the wire transfer. You just keep running like you got to break into your own blessing. Breathe, beloved. Rest. The check already cleared in glory. Psalm 23 don't say, goodness and mercy maybe gonna find me. It says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. That's chase back energy. You not the hunter, you the harvest. God's provision got your GPS location pinned. The bag don't need a map, it's got a mandate. See, when you understand that, you move different. No more desperation decisions. No more begging for what's already been written. No more selling peace for productivity. You start walking like it's handled. You start speaking like it's done. You start praising like you already got the tracking number. 'Cause faith celebrates early. Faith shouts before the deposit hits. Fam, every time you panic, you tell heaven, I forgot who's in charge. But every time you trust, you tell the storm, we good, supply chain still open. The same God who fed Israel, who sent ravens, who multiplied bread, he ain't retired. He's still providing, still writing, still delivering, right on schedule. So, beloved, walk in provision with boldness. You not begging, you inheriting. You not hustling for crumbs, you distribute in overflow. Lift your head, fix your posture, square your faith, and step like one who's already funded. The bag is written in your destiny, sealed with his promise and released by your peace. Stop running after it. Just stay in position and let it catch you. Fam, say it with me one more time for the Spirit to hear it clear. The bag is already written in. Period. No commas, no question marks, just confidence. Fam, take this last breath with me. Lil Dad. Let it sink in. You ain't lacking. You ain't late. You ain't overlooked. Everything you need is already in motion. The bag been written in since before the bills, before the fear, before the fight. And tonight, you can finally rest. See, provision ain't just about getting, it's about trusting. It's the calm that hits when you realize the weight ain't yours to carry. The moment you stop begging heaven to notice you and start realizing heaven already branded you supplied. So breathe, beloved. Breathe in peace. Breathe out panic. You survived every shortage, every dry spell, every I don't know how. And yet, somehow, every time God showed up right on cue. That ain't coincidence. That's covenant. You've been divinely covered the whole time. So from this hour forward, walk with that unbothered confidence that make worry look foolish. You ain't chasing blessings. They following you. You ain't struggling to make ends meet. Heaven's been tying them together behind the scenes. You don't got to pray scared anymore. You pray secure. Fam, this 5 p.m. hour was about revelation. The moment you realize you never needed to chase the bag because you've been carrying the favor that writes it. The same God who authored your need already scheduled your nourishment. And when you stop trying to force it, he finally gets room to flow. So hold your head high, rest your mind, and remember, he already did what you're still worrying about. Let peace be your proof. Let gratitude be your grind. And let faith be your flex. Fam, this the moment we seal it. Say it one more time with me. The bag is already written in. This ain't your Sunday school. This is YNB Spirituals, book